Stop scrolling right now because what you're about to hear might completely change the way you look at money for the rest of your life. Most people wake up every single day, go to work, trade their time for money, come back home tired, and repeat the same cycle again and again, believing that one day, somehow, this routine will make them financially free. But here's the truth that nobody tells you directly. The richest people in the world do not work for money, and if you keep thinking the same way as everyone else, you might spend your entire life working hard without ever actually becoming wealthy. Now, I know this might sound uncomfortable, but stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through a shift that separates people who stay stuck from those who quietly build real wealth over time. From a very young age, we are taught a simple formula that sounds completely logical on the surface: study hard, get good grades, find a stable job, earn money, and live a secure life. And at first, it feels right. It feels safe. It feels like the correct path. But what most people don't realize is that this system was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you consistent, predictable, and reliable in a structure where you trade your time for income. Think about it for a second. If working hard was the real key to becoming rich, then the hardest working people in society would all be financially free by now. But that's not what we see in reality. Instead, we see people working long hours for decades, constantly chasing stability, but never truly escaping the need to work. The real problem begins when you start earning. Your first paycheck feels exciting, your independence begins, and slowly you start building a lifestyle around your income. But without even realizing it, you enter a loop that is extremely difficult to break. You work, you earn, you spend, and then you repeat the same process again. As your income increases, your expenses also increase, and suddenly you are no longer working to grow. You are working just to maintain your life. This is the trap that keeps millions of people stuck, not because they lack intelligence or effort, but because they were never shown a different way to think about money. At the core of this trap is one simple concept: trading time for money. Every hour you work, you get paid, and the moment you stop working, the income stops too. This creates a ceiling that you cannot cross no matter how skilled or dedicated you are, because there are only 24 hours in a day, so even if you increase your hourly income, you are still limited by time. And this leads to a very important question that most people avoid asking themselves. If your income depends entirely on your presence, are you actually free? Or are you just earning well within a system that still controls your time? Now, this is where the mindset shift happens. And this is the exact point where the path of wealthy people starts to look completely different. Instead of constantly asking how to earn more money, they begin to ask a different question: how can I build something that earns money even when I am not actively working? That single question changes everything, because now you are no longer focused only on income, you are focused on creating systems. Systems that can generate value, systems that can continue operating, and systems that are not limited by your time. To make this clearer, imagine two individuals starting at the same point in life. The first person chooses the traditional route, works consistently, gets promotions, and increases their salary over time. The second person, however, spends time learning skills, experimenting, building small projects, and facing failure after failure in the beginning. For a while, it looks like the second person is falling behind because there is no immediate reward. But over time, one of those efforts turns into something that starts generating income repeatedly. And once that happens, the entire dynamic changes. Years later, the first person is still working for every dollar they earn, while the second person has built something that continues to bring in money even when they are not actively working every single hour. One of the biggest reasons people never reach this stage is because of something called the lifestyle trap. As soon as income increases, people upgrade their lifestyle. They move to a bigger house, buy a better car, increase their spending, and slowly create a situation where their expenses demand a certain level of income every single month. Now, instead of working towards freedom, they are forced to keep working just to sustain the life they have created. This becomes an invisible prison because from the outside, everything looks successful, but internally, there is no real freedom. Wealthy individuals approach this differently. Instead of upgrading their lifestyle immediately, they focus on acquiring assets. Assets are things that put money into your pocket instead of taking money out. This could be investments, businesses, digital products, or anything that generates income over time. The goal is not just to earn money, but to convert that money into something that keeps working for you. And the more assets you build, the less dependent you become on active work. Another powerful concept that separates rich people from everyone else is leverage. Leverage simply means doing something once and benefiting from it multiple times. In a normal job, you are paid once for your effort, but when you build a system, that same effort can generate income again and again. This is how wealth starts to multiply, not by increasing the number of hours you work, but by increasing the impact of what you create. Now, it's important to understand that this path is not easy in the beginning. In fact, it often feels harder than a regular job because you don't see immediate results. There is uncertainty, there is risk, and there are moments when nothing seems to work. This is exactly the stage where most people give up and return to what feels safe. But those who continue, those who keep building, eventually reach a point where their efforts start compounding. And that's when the real difference becomes visible. At this point, everything starts to shift. Instead of working for survival, you start moving towards freedom. Instead of depending on a single source of income, you begin creating multiple streams. And most importantly, you start gaining control over your time. Because at the end of the day, money can always be earned again, but time is something you can never get back. So now the question is not whether working hard is important, because it is. The real question is, what are you working hard on? Are you working only to earn money in the present, or are you also building something that can support you in the future? Because the difference between those two approaches is the difference between staying in the same cycle forever and eventually stepping out of it. If you continue to work only for money, you will always need to work. But if you start focusing on making money work for you, there will come a time when work becomes a choice, not a necessity. And that is the moment where true financial freedom begins. So take a moment and think about your current path. Are you building something, or are you only maintaining something? Because the sooner you make this shift in thinking, the sooner your direction starts to change. And once your direction changes, your entire life can follow. At the end of the day, this is not just about money. It is about control, it is about freedom, and it is about designing a life where you are not constantly trading your time just to survive. The people who understand this early quietly build wealth in the background, while everyone else keeps running in the same loop, hoping things will change without changing the way they think. And now that you see this difference, you have a choice to make. You can continue doing what most people do, or you can start thinking differently and take the first step towards building something that works for you. Because once you truly understand that the rich don't work for money, they build systems that make money work for them, you can never go back to thinking the same way again.